Hey, what's up guys? Barry Robinson here, 8 Million Styles Boxing. Today I want to talk about switching, and I want to go step by step with switches. The most common switches we see today, especially from mixed martial arts, would be a typical Duane Ludwig, his system, TJ Dillashaw. They like to do the switch where they can punch off of the switch, they can punch back, they can kick off of the switch, they can do a whole ton of things off of that switch. However, for me, I always, at 1 Million Styles Boxing, I love to break things down to simple. And the reason why is because I want my body to have an understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't want to go into a switch and I end up my feet are too spread out or I'm too wide. So I want my body, not my mind, not my thoughts, my knowledge. I want my body to be comfortable and have an understanding of switching. So I want to talk about a few drills that you could do and a few different ways you can switch as opposed to just having one switch where you're trying to look, I want to hit the guy with one thing. So I'll tell you where that might be important. If you guys remember, for those of you that watch my film studies as a member, if you look at my TJ Dillashaw versus Vasyl Lomachenko film study, I talk about how TJ Dillashaw, being a very good fighter, but he was relegated and stuck to one move. The move was this switch. That was a move. The problem when you have a move is that there are limited options in a move. And for example, if I was to use that move in a boxing fight eventually, over 12 rounds, 10 rounds, a good boxer is probably going to pick me apart and figure out how to nullify and neutralize that particular one move. So I want to talk today about diversifying your switch game, but I want to start from the very boring stuff, of course, 1 Million Styles Boxing, and then graduate to the very advanced stuff. So, for example, if I'm going to start a switch drill with you guys, start a switch drill. The very first thing the most important thing to me first is your fighting stance, your base. So for example, if I'm conventional now, I want to be able to step forward and have the same space that I started with. I want to finish with that. I don't want to be the type of person that steps forward and this foot comes up far too high. I don't want to be the person that starts like this and ends like this unless I meant to, okay? I don't want to be the type of person that steps out with my foot all the time because they give away my fighting stance. So I want to start with having a good base, not just conventional, but also southpaw. So for example, maybe you want to come in the gym, and if you guys want more on this, please go to the footwork drill section in the tutorial section and make sure you guys purchase the footwork drills tutorial, AMSB core footwork drills, because we cover all of this. We won't go over that too much today because this is a little bit more advanced. I'm assuming you have those down packed, but if you don't, please purchase the footwork drills because my core tutorial is there about our core drills. So, once I once I have a good rhythm of a good core fundamental base, an understanding of why my feet are wide, an understanding of why my feet are normal, an understanding of when I have my feet close together, now I can start to play with switches. So what's one of the first switch drills that we can do? It's very simple. You take one round, 2 minutes, and you start from the very beginning. So if this is my base, and I'm in a pure boxing stance now, maybe some of you guys stand here for boxing, maybe you say, you know what, I'm a Muay Thai fighter, I want to stand square, great, up to you, doesn't matter, the drill doesn't change. So from here, when I go forward, I'm going to switch and go forward. Now if you notice, I switched into fighting stance. What do I mean by that? It would be easy for me to throw my leg here and say, well, I'm in fighting stance. Not really. I want to come over with my shoulder in front. Why? Because if we go back to the beginning of what a fighting stance is, the beginning of a fighting stance is my hands in the front, my shoulders in the front, and then a punch can get to my chin. So if I come over and square like this, not really coming over in fighting stance. So I'm going to get a bunch of reps. Now let's break that down a little bit more. So what I'm doing here is off my left foot, My left foot, remember, is going to end up in the back because I'm switching to southpaw. So I'm going to turn, think about this foot as a door hinge. I'm going to turn this foot to get to the position I want. Notice that's it's almost like basketball. I don't know if you guys play basketball, but it's a drop step, it's a pivot. So what I'm going to do for 1 round, 3 minutes, 2 rounds, 3 minutes, sorry, is I'm going to try to switch in the fighting stance. Each time turning off my front foot. Just going forward. Just going forward. So if I want to take like the length of the floor, for example, I would just go forward. Now, the reason why we do that very basic is because we want to be able to put ourselves in a basic position to what? To defend and also to attack. In order to do that, we must practice boring stuff. After those 2 rounds, I want to go backwards. The principle has not changed. Now, if I'm conventional, now what foot's going to be in charge? The back foot, because I'm always going backwards. So I'm going to pivot off my back foot to get to conventional. I'm sorry, to get to southpaw. I'm going to pivot off my back foot to get to conventional. So on and so forth. So if I'm drilling that, 2 rounds, 3 minutes, now let's get into the advance. So you have 4 rounds there. 4 rounds. And guys, I can only emphasize so many times about drills. When you're working for 2 rounds, 3 minutes, or if you're a mixed martial artist, 2 rounds, 5 minutes, you're getting a ton of reps working your calves, your quads, and your mind. So don't get bored and say, you know what, I got this. I'm good, I got this. No, get the repetitions in. Don't sit there and post memes of Bruce Lee on Instagram. I love Bruce Lee, be like water, but not be willing to put the drills in. You gotta put the boring drills in. Understand, the knowledge is just knowledge. You gotta drill. Now, so now after I've done my 4 rounds, I got 2 rounds going forward, 2 rounds going backwards. I wanna mix the 2 together. Absolutely, I wanna be able to transition and do both. So I'm just gonna go down the length of the floor, forward, forward, backwards, backwards, forward, forward, backwards, backwards. Now, that's 6 rounds. You've came in the gym, you've already done 6 rounds. You've already done 6 rounds. So, now let's get into an advanced version of these drills. The beautiful thing about 1,000,000 Styles Boxing, you can run tell your friends this, is really important. Every drill we have is a Swiss Army knife. You can add tools to it, use the tools you want to develop what you're looking for after you've done the boring stuff. So now I want to take these drills and I want to add something extremely fundamental. I was preparing someone to fight Shingiz Alazov. Great kickboxer, a lot of switches. And Shingiz is very dangerous, extremely dangerous, because he's very smart and he can fight both sides. So the only weakness I can see in him at the time, present day, is, you know what, where can you attack Shingiz? You can attack him on his switches. What do I mean by that? Sometimes people switch lazy, like the switches we talked about. They end up doing this, they square, they're not turning into their fighting stance, not ready to defend or attack, and you can kind of catch them in space. So what can I do working on my switches to eliminate some of that threat? There we go, we're getting advanced now. So you've done your 6 rounds, here's what rounds 7 and 8 might look like. I want to switch with some head control. So now I'm going to go forward to lift the floor, and I'm going to switch. I know I'm going southpaw, so I'm going to bring my lead hand and know my range. I'm going to bring my lead hand, my left hand, know my range. Know my range. One more time, show you that from the front. So I want to switch with the control, switch with the control, switch with the control. That's good fundamentals. It's also good safety, good understanding of range and awareness. If I switch with no control, and I know what you're gonna say, well, Barry, the first 2 rounds, well, listen, the first 2 rounds we did it very basic. Why? Because we need to be able to master the legs part first. So we isolated our legs. Now we add our upper body, so on and so forth. So in the beginning, we just isolated our legs. So now we want to switch forward with the control and add our upper body, because now our body has an understanding of what we're doing. So now you got 7, 8 rounds in a book. We're going to do the same thing going backwards, of course. The same exact thing going backwards. So we're going to switch backwards with the controls. Switching to southpaw, right hand. Switching to conventional, left hand. Switching to southpaw, right hand. Switching to conventional, left hand. And we want to get so many rounds of that. 2 rounds each. You're now up to 10 rounds. Understand the way drills work, people. You've now done 10 rounds in the bag. So now, what can you add to that? You coaches, fighters, you guys can figure that out. After you've done your boring stuff, guess what? You have a fill day. So I can switch forward with the control, straight left hand. Sorry, I didn't switch forward with the control. I can switch forward with the control, straight left hand. I can switch forward with the control, straight right hand. And turn a good punch over. Don't just be in a rush to be fancy. Okay, same thing going backwards. That's rounds 11 and 12, rounds 13, 14. I can switch forward, switch backwards with the control, straight punch. Switch backwards with the control, straight punch. Same thing for kickboxers. Nothing's changed. Now you got rounds 13, 14. You can switch forward with the control, knee. Switch forward with the control, knee, right? You can switch back with the control, knee, right? Sorry, I know that look horrible, guys. You guys are normal boxers, excuse me, forgive me. Now, it's the same thing with mixed martial artists. If you're gonna switch forward with control, you can go for your takedown. I'm not gonna drag my knee, you guys don't wanna see that. Same thing, go for your takedown. Stand up in fighting stance. After you get down here, stand up in fighting stance, and just go again. That's it. Just a continuation. It's a Swiss Army knife. You can do what you want, when you want, as long as you have the basics mastered. That's understanding switching at a very, very, very basic level. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna get into more of how you can start to learn how to switch. But so far, this is a good basis. Better than you just going in the gym and doing this because you've seen some other system do it. Get the fundamentals first so you have options with those switches. So you're able to, you can come here, you can switch, and now you understand what I'm saying? Million Styles Boxing, Barry Robinson.